dream that one day this nation will rise up.
The immortal words of Martin Luther King, spoken 60 years ago on this day to almost 250,000 people who marched on Washington for jobs and freedom. I'm Christine Persichetti. Today, Martin Luther King's words resonate as the nation marks the 60th anniversary of the milestone event. People came from across the country to protest for racial equality for African Americans. It was a call for economic and racial equality, a call to action that brought more than 200,000 people to the National Mall in Washington, D.C. on August 28th, 60 years ago, a day best remembered for Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic I Have a Dream speech.
Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy.
Among the hundreds of thousands, two young activists who were filled with hope. Cortland Cox is now 82, but 60 years ago, he was a 22-year-old working for the civil rights organization SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Edward Flanagan was a 20-year-old who just finished his shift as a waiter. Like scores of others, he wanted to take a stand for civil rights.
It was, in fact, a march for jobs and freedom.
Our thoughts today is that we succeeded in changing this country.
As a young organizer, Cox was responsible for arranging safe transportation for people making the trek from the South to Washington, D.C. He says there were many challenges.
The challenge from the top was the Kennedy administration was opposed to John Lewis's speech.
Cox worked alongside then 23-year-old civil rights activist John Lewis, who was the chairman of SNCC. This picture shows the two men as they rewrote the speech to tone it down to make it less critical of the Kennedy administration's civil rights bill, which they felt didn't go far enough to protect people from police brutality.
John Lewis, Jim Foreman, and myself were in the back of the Lincoln Memorial rechanging John Lewis's speech to make sure that while it was critical, it was not negative.
It is true that we support the administration's civil rights bill. We support it with great reservation, however.
Both Cox and Flanagan agree while much was accomplished that day, the work is not over.
We are still, while in a much better place than we were in '63, not in the place where one would expect 60 years on.
We succeeded in doing a number of things by what we did in the past, but we also know that we have to do much more for the future.
Catholics shared in Martin Luther King's vision. The Archbishop of Washington gave the invocation at the event. Read about the march and Archbishop Patrick O'Boyle in the tablet. He played a big role in promoting civil rights. Before the Supreme Court ordered public schools to be desegregated, he had already done so in Catholic schools in the Archdiocese. From news to personal stories, the tablet is the paper for parishioners in the Diocese of Brooklyn. So be sure to pick up the paper at your local church this weekend. You can also support the tablet thanks to their membership program. To learn more about it and find out everything you can get with your donation, just go to thetablet.org/become-a-member. Meanwhile, in Jacksonville, Florida, police say on Saturday a white man opened fire at a Dollar General store, killing 3 black people. Bishop Eric Pohlmeyer of St. Augustine is condemning the violence, saying this reprehensible act reminds us of the deep-seated wounds that still afflict our society, wounds rooted in prejudice and racism. I call upon each of you to pray for the victims and their families during this painful time. To Hawaii now, where the local electric company is denying reports it tampered with the wildfire investigation on Maui. Published reports say the utility may have removed evidence from the scene in Lahaina. But a spokesperson for Hawaiian Electric says it's not true, and the utility is fully cooperating with investigators. Hawaiian Electric failed to shut down its power lines ahead of the fire despite high wind and red flag warnings. 115 people died in the fires and hundreds are still listed as missing. The Knights of Columbus Monsignor Sherman Council is raising money for the victims of the Maui wildfires. Members collected money during masses at St. Pancras Church in Glendale. During 5 masses, they raised $1,500. Additionally, the council donated $1,000 and raised $350 more online. Every parish in the Diocese of Brooklyn will now be taking up collections from Maui at weekend masses. But if you want to donate right now, you can. Just make your checks payable to the Compostela Fund of the Archdiocese of Brooklyn, and be sure to write Hawaii on your check. Then mail it to the Diocese Finance Office, 310 Prospect Park West, that's in Brooklyn, 11215. Pope Francis is praying for the victims of deadly wildfires in Greece. From the window of the papal apartments on Sunday, the Holy Father expressed his concern for the fatalities caused by the fires in Greece. As many as 20 people have lost their lives. Among the dead are refugees who had been hiding in the area that was engulfed in flames. Following the Angelus on Sunday, the Pope also asked for prayers for his upcoming trip to Mongolia. This will be the first papal visit to the nation, which takes place from August 31st to September 4th. The Catholic community in Mongolia is one of the smallest in the world. There are fewer than 1,500. Mongolia is strategically significant for the Vatican because it borders China, where the church is trying to improve the situation of Catholics in the communist country. Cardinal Dolan is in Ireland, where he celebrated Mass on Sunday for the 150th anniversary of St. Patrick's in the Archdiocese of Armagh. He also visited the Shrine of Knock and shared a story about when a baby stopped crying after being held by her mother. He connected this to Mary, explaining why the Blessed Mother appeared in the small village and why she did not say a word.
Sometimes the silence of a mother is the best message that we can have. Just saying, it's I, your mother. Don't be afraid, don't be scared. I'm here. She doesn't need any words.
The apparition of Mary in Knock happened in 1879. She appeared with St. Joseph, St. John, and a lamb in front of a cross. It was raining that evening, but the figures stayed dry as 15 people watched for 2 hours. Students from around the country and around the world are arriving in Jamaica, Queens for the start of the school year. St. John's University is welcoming students from 121 different countries. Students also attend from right here in the Diocese of Brooklyn. The top feeder school is St. Francis Prep. The most popular major for incoming freshmen this year is biology, but more than double that number are undecided. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.